Princess Alera looked down at the blue-green planet through the transparent walls of her ship. The bright clouds swirled over vast oceans, and sparkling cities glimmered in the sunlight. From her high position in orbit, she could see tiny dots moving across the land. These dots were humans, a species she had studied from afar. She had read every report about them, watched every recorded conflict, and listened to countless stories of their history. Her conclusion was clear. Humans were savage creatures, driven by selfish desires and petty conflicts. She felt a pang of disappointment. Alera had hoped to find intelligent beings worthy of friendship, beings who could share knowledge and understanding. Instead, from all she had learned, humans were cruel, careless, and often reckless. She folded her hands and sighed, feeling a strange mix of duty and curiosity. Her advisors, two tall Viralians with silver skin and glowing eyes, watched her silently. "Princess," said one advisor, named Thelen, "our sensors indicate that the area below is densely populated. This city appears to be their main hub of trade and communication. It may provide the best sample of human behavior." Alera nodded. "Prepare the landing. I want to observe them closely. But I do not expect anything impressive." Her voice carried calm authority, but her thoughts were clouded with doubt. She had never visited a human city before. All her knowledge came from sensors, transmissions, and reports. The landing sequence was smooth. The ship glided over the city, reflecting sunlight in a dazzling display of colors. Below, people hurried along streets, some carrying packages, others talking in groups. Cars honked, and small vehicles zipped between towering buildings. Alera's eyes scanned the crowds, seeking evidence of intelligence or cooperation. She only saw humans pushing past each other, shouting over traffic, or stealing items from unattended stalls. Her lips pressed into a thin line. "These humans are even more chaotic than I imagined," she murmured. Thelen looked at her, his expression calm. "Princess, we must not judge too quickly," he said. "Observation is our duty. Engage with them carefully, and do not underestimate what you do not yet know." Alera nodded but felt unconvinced. She stepped onto the observation platform, her feet making no sound on the polished metal. From this vantage point, she could hear distant noises, though faintly. The shouts of people arguing over small matters reached her ears, and the sight of minor conflicts confirmed her suspicion. Humans were savage. They could not organize, and their emotions seemed to control their actions. She turned and moved among them. To avoid causing panic, she wore a holographic disguise, appearing as an average human. Her glowing blue eyes were hidden, her silver hair concealed beneath a simple hood. Even with her alien powers, she wanted to see humans in their natural state, without fear or awe influencing their behavior. Alera walked along busy streets, watching humans closely. A man argued loudly with a street vendor over the price of fruit. Nearby, a woman yelled at her child for spilling a drink. Cars honked as drivers shouted at each other. Everywhere she looked, there was tension, frustration, and impatience. She frowned, feeling a heavy weight of disappointment. "This is what they call civilization," she whispered to herself. Then, near a small park, she noticed something different. A young man knelt beside a broken bird, gently holding it in his hands. He examined the bird with care, speaking softly, and brushing tiny feathers back into place. Alera froze. She had not expected this. She leaned closer, intrigued. This human showed tenderness, patience, and concern for another living being. It was not the selfish, violent behavior she had observed everywhere else. The young man noticed her presence and smiled. "Hello," he said. "I am Leo. Are you okay?" Alera felt a flicker of surprise. Humans were supposed to be cautious and fearful of strangers. Yet he spoke calmly, without suspicion or hostility. She hesitated before replying. "I am, observing," she said carefully, hiding her alien voice behind a human disguise. Why do you care for this creature? Leo shrugged. It is hurt. It cannot fix itself. I can help. That is enough reason. His voice was simple but firm. Alera studied him carefully. His eyes held honesty, and there was no trace of selfish desire. For the first time, Alera felt doubt about her assumptions. Could it be that not all humans were savage? Perhaps she had judged them too quickly. Yet she could not allow herself to be influenced by a single example. She needed more evidence, more observation. She followed Leo as he carried the bird to a nearby clinic. Humans worked there to care for injured animals and people alike. Volunteers moved quickly, assisting with treatment, food, and comfort. Alera watched as humans cooperated, giving attention and resources to those in need. Their teamwork, empathy, and dedication surprised her. The lens voice came to her mind through their communicator. Princess, you appear unsettled. Are your observations consistent with previous reports? Alera shook her head. No, Thelen. I am beginning to see something I did not expect. These humans are not all violent. Some show kindness, courage, and intelligence. Thelen's response was calm. Then continue observing, Princess. All species have complexity. You are learning the truth firsthand. Alera felt a spark of hope. Perhaps humans were not merely destructive creatures. Perhaps there was potential for understanding, for friendship, for cooperation. Yet she knew she must remain cautious. One example did not erase centuries of observation. She needed more. As the sun began to set, the city lights glimmered. Alera found a quiet rooftop and watched humans from above. Families shared meals, friends laughed, and some people worked together to clean the streets and help others. She began to realize that humans were unpredictable. They could be selfish and angry, yes, but they could also show love, courage, and dedication. For the first time, Alera felt curiosity mix with her duty. She wanted to learn more, to explore the truth about humans. She resolved to continue her observations, to look beyond her assumptions, and to see the full spectrum of this strange, fascinating species. As night fell, Alera returned to her ship. She reported to her advisors, her mind racing with questions and possibilities. Her belief in human savagery had been shaken, and a small but powerful thought grew inside her: maybe, just maybe, humans could be worthy of trust and friendship. The next morning, Princess Alera stepped out of her ship, her eyes scanning the city streets. She felt a mix of caution and excitement. Last night's observations had left her unsettled but curious. Humans were more complex than she had imagined. Some were selfish, yes, but others, like Leo, displayed kindness and courage. She wanted to see more. Alera walked among the humans, her hood still hiding her alien features. She noticed small acts of care all around her. A man helped an elderly woman carry groceries. A group of children worked together to lift a fallen tree branch from a path. Alera's heart, which had felt distant and critical yesterday, now stirred with interest. Perhaps humans had qualities her studies had failed to capture. As she wandered through a quiet park, she saw Leo again. He was kneeling on the grass, tending to another injured bird. His calm voice reassured the small animal as he wrapped a tiny wing in a soft cloth. Alera watched silently. His patience and focus amazed her. Humans could be brave in the face of danger, but they could also be gentle in ways that mattered deeply. Leo looked up and smiled. "Hello again. You are back," he said simply. His tone was friendly, without any hint of fear or suspicion. "I am observing," Alera replied carefully. Her voice was calm, neutral, as if she were asking a question rather than making a statement. "Why do you spend so much time helping these creatures?" Leo shrugged. "Because they need help. They cannot do everything on their own. I can make things better. That is all. His honesty struck Alera. There was no pretense, no desire for recognition. Only care. Curiosity overpowered caution. Alera took a careful step closer. Do humans always help each other? She asked, her voice soft. Leo shook his head. Not always. Some humans are selfish. Some fight and hurt others. But many try to do what is right. That is what makes a difference. Alera studied him silently. His words challenged the beliefs she had carried for years. Humans were unpredictable, capable of cruelty, but also capable of great goodness. She felt an unfamiliar warmth, the recognition that this species might hold more than chaos and conflict. Leo noticed her hesitation. Do you want to see more? He asked. I can show you what humans do when they work together. Alera nodded. She followed him through the streets, her eyes wide with attention. Leo led her to a small building on the edge of the park. A sign read, Community Center, helping humans and nature together. Inside, humans of all ages worked in harmony. Some repaired broken tools, others planted flowers and trees, and a few prepared food for those in need. Alera watched in awe. These humans, they work for each other, she asked softly. Yes, Leo said. We help each other because we can. We learn from each other, share what we know, and protect those who cannot protect themselves. Alera moved closer to a group of humans planting a small garden. A child handed another child a watering can. Both smiled as they watered the young plants together. It was simple, yet it spoke volumes. Cooperation, kindness, and a sense of purpose, these were qualities Alera had not expected. She glanced at Leo. You seem to belong here. You know their ways and their rules. Leo smiled. I am just like them. I learn every day, and I try to do what is right. That is all anyone can do. Alera felt a flicker of admiration. The humans were flawed, yes, but they also had courage, empathy, and the ability to change. She began to see that her studies had captured only part of their nature. The truth was more complex, and far more fascinating. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed from the street outside. A small vehicle had collided with a market stall, sending goods flying. Humans rushed forward, helping each other collect items and calm those who were frightened. Alera stepped back in surprise. The scene was chaotic, yet not cruel. Humans were quick to act, to repair harm, and to assist one another without waiting for orders. Leo noticed her expression. This is how humans respond, he said. We are not perfect. We make mistakes. But we do what we can to fix them. Alera nodded, absorbing every detail. She had never seen humans act so decisively, yet with care and compassion. Her preconceived notions of savagery were fading, replaced by curiosity and growing respect. After the chaos settled, Leo led her to a quiet bench. Do you want to learn more about us? He asked. Yes, Alera said, her voice quiet but certain. I want to understand the truth. Not the reports, not the studies. The real humans. Leo smiled. Then you must spend time with us. Learn our ways, see our struggles, and help when you can. That is how you will understand. For hours, Alera observed humans in their daily lives. She watched families share meals, friends encourage one another, and neighbors work together to clean streets and care for animals. She saw courage, laughter, problem-solving, and creativity. She saw humans who risked their own safety to protect others. She saw joy and sorrow, and the resilience that bound communities together. By evening, Alera felt a shift inside herself. Her belief that humans were savage had weakened. She had seen kindness, bravery, and intelligence that her studies had never captured. Yet she remained cautious. One day of observation could not erase centuries of prejudice. She would continue her journey carefully, watching, learning, and questioning. Before returning to her ship, Leo handed her a small plant he had nurtured in the community garden. "Take this with you," he said. "It will remind you that even small actions matter." Alera accepted the gift. She looked at the tiny green leaves, feeling a sense of hope. Perhaps humans were not the creatures of chaos she had imagined. Perhaps there was potential for friendship, understanding, and trust. As she left the park, she glanced back at Leo and the community center. She realized that her journey on Earth had entered a new phase. She was no longer a distant observer. She was beginning to connect, to learn, and to see humanity in a new light. The sun rose over the city, casting golden light on the tall buildings and busy streets. Princess Alera walked through the city with Leo, her mind still turning over what she had learned the day before. Humans were not what she had believed. Some were reckless and selfish, but many showed kindness, cooperation, and care. Yet she wondered if this strength would hold in true danger. Her question was answered sooner than she expected. A sudden loud explosion shook the city, echoing across the streets. People screamed and ran in panic. Smoke rose from a nearby building, flames licking the walls and windows. Alera's instincts urged her to retreat, to hide in safety. She had faced danger before on Viralaya, but humans were unpredictable. Would they survive this, or would they collapse into chaos? Leo grabbed her hand. "Come with me. We can help," he shouted, running toward the building. Alera hesitated but followed him, her curiosity outweighing her fear. She used her powers subtly to shield herself from debris, moving carefully with him. When they reached the building, the scene was chaotic. People shouted for help, trying to find their friends, family, and pets. Flames roared, and smoke filled the air. Some humans froze in fear, while others ran in all directions. But Leo did not panic. He calmly directed people, pointing to safe paths, helping them move out of danger, and encouraging those who were trapped to stay calm. Alera watched in amazement. One woman carried a small child down a stairwell while a man guided an elderly couple through the smoke. People who had been strangers just moments before worked together seamlessly. There was no hesitation, only focus and bravery. Humans were risking their own safety to save others. Alera stepped closer to help. Using her alien strength, she lifted a fallen beam blocking a doorway, allowing several trapped humans to escape. She felt a strange thrill. For the first time, she was not observing from a distance, she was part of the action, working alongside humans in a real crisis. Leo noticed her involvement and nodded approvingly. "See? Humans can be brave," he said. "We fight for each other when it matters most." Alera felt her heart stir. Her long-held belief that humans were savage and reckless was cracking. These people were not motivated by greed or selfishness. They were motivated by care, courage, and a sense of responsibility. A sudden scream drew their attention. A small child was trapped on the top floor of the burning building, crying for help. Alera looked at Leo, who did not hesitate. "We have to go up," he said. "We can save them." They climbed the stairs carefully, dodging falling debris and flames. Humans ran past them, helping wherever they could. Alera felt a sense of admiration and respect growing for these beings. They faced danger without hesitation, putting others before themselves. When they reached the child, Alera scooped him into her arms while Leo cleared the path to safety. They moved quickly down the stairs, passing families and neighbors who encouraged each other and provided support. Outside, the crowd cheered as the child was returned to his mother. She hugged him tightly, tears streaming down her face. Alera felt a strange warmth inside. She realized that humans were not inherently savage. They were capable of fear, yes, but also of immense courage and empathy. Even in the face of danger, they worked together, protected each other, and never gave up. The fire department arrived soon after, taking control of the situation. Humans continued to assist, helping firefighters and guiding those still trapped. Leo turned to Alera. Do you understand now? Humans are not perfect, but we can do incredible things when we care for each other. Alera nodded slowly. She had seen enough to know he was right. Humans were not savage creatures driven only by selfish desires. They were complex, unpredictable, and capable of both mistakes and heroism. As the smoke cleared and the last flames were extinguished, Alera looked around. People were exhausted but relieved. They comforted each other, checked on neighbors, and ensured everyone was safe. She watched a man offer water to a firefighter, who smiled in gratitude. She watched children comfort frightened pets, and teenagers help elderly neighbors to safety. Every act of care, every gesture of courage, made her view humanity in a new light. Leo smiled at her. This is how humans grow stronger, he said. Through cooperation, courage, and caring for each other. We learn, we teach, and we protect. That is our way. Alera felt a deep sense of respect. She had come expecting to see chaos and selfishness, but she had witnessed bravery, empathy, and determination. Humans were unpredictable, yes, but that unpredictability also allowed for greatness. They could be flawed, but their flaws did not define them. Their choices did. The city began to return to normal. Firefighters cleaned up, and neighbors helped rebuild damaged areas. People who had been strangers just hours ago now shared a sense of community and unity. Alera walked with Leo through the streets, absorbing every detail. She realized that humans could inspire hope and trust, even in someone from another world. As night fell, she returned to her ship. Her mind was full of thoughts and questions. She had observed humans in their natural environment, not from sensors or reports, but in real-life danger. She had seen courage, kindness, and teamwork. She had witnessed bravery that no report could capture. For the first time, Alera felt a spark of admiration and hope. Humans were more than she had imagined. Perhaps they could be allies, perhaps they could be friends, and perhaps they were capable of greatness that even Viralaya could learn from. She looked out at the city lights, shimmering in the darkness. Humanity was flawed, yes, but it was also alive, vibrant, and resilient. And in that moment, Princess Alera knew that her journey on Earth would change her forever. She would continue to learn, observe, and understand, because she had seen the truth: humans were not merely savage. They were extraordinary in ways she had never expected. The next morning, Princess Alera stepped into the city with a new sense of purpose. The events of the fire had changed her perception of humans. She no longer saw them as simply savage or reckless. She had seen bravery, kindness, and determination. Now, she wanted to understand how humans thought, learned, and worked together. Leo greeted her near the park. Good morning, Princess Alera. Are you ready to see more of human life? He asked with a friendly smile. I am, she replied. I want to understand their ways, their ideas, and how they learn from each other. Leo nodded. Then I will show you our schools. Humans do many things there. We share knowledge, teach each other, and discover new things. You may find it surprising. Alera followed him through the streets, observing how humans moved and interacted. Some were hurrying to work, others to school or meetings. Despite the rush, she noticed small acts of care. People held doors open, offered seats, and helped those who were struggling. She smiled quietly, realizing that even ordinary actions could reveal much about a species. They arrived at a large building with bright windows and colorful walls. Children and young adults were inside, learning, experimenting, and discussing ideas. Leo led Alera through the main hall. Humans worked on projects, shared information, and asked questions. Their energy and curiosity filled the room. This is incredible, Alera said softly. They seem, eager to learn from each other. Yes, Leo said. Humans value knowledge. We share what we know because it helps everyone grow. Learning is not just for oneself, but for the whole community. Alera moved closer to a group of students working on a small robotic device. They passed tools to each other, explained their ideas, and tested their creation together. When one failed, they discussed solutions calmly, without blame. Each person contributed, building on the ideas of others. She was fascinated. On Viralaya, knowledge was often guarded and shared only with those in positions of authority. Here, humans exchanged ideas freely, with no expectation of reward or recognition. Their curiosity and willingness to help each other solve problems amazed her. Leo guided her to another classroom where students studied science and nature. One young girl demonstrated how water could travel through a series of small pipes to water plants efficiently. A boy nearby calculated numbers carefully, sharing his results with others, who nodded and adjusted their own designs. Do they compete with each other? Alera asked, genuinely curious. Sometimes, Leo replied. But competition is not always about winning. It is about learning, improving, and understanding. Humans grow stronger by helping each other, even when they compete. Alera nodded thoughtfully. She realized that humans were both cooperative and driven, balancing personal ambition with care for others. It was a delicate balance, one that seemed chaotic at first but revealed a remarkable intelligence. As they walked through the building, Alera noticed an art studio. Humans were painting, sculpting, and creating music. A small group played instruments together, harmonizing in ways that were beautiful and expressive. Alera felt something stir inside her. Humans were not only capable of survival and courage but also of imagination, creativity, and emotion. Leo smiled at her reaction. Art is important for humans. It helps us understand our feelings, communicate, and connect with each other. It is another way we grow together. Alera quietly observed a group of children painting a large mural. Each child added their own ideas, blending colors and shapes. They laughed, discussed, and encouraged each other. The mural grew vibrant and full of life, a true product of collaboration and imagination. Humans are fascinating, Alera whispered. They are not perfect, but they are capable of so much. Leo nodded. Exactly. We make mistakes, we argue, and we sometimes fail. But we also learn, adapt, and improve. That is our strength. Alera felt a deep sense of respect. She had studied humans for years through reports and sensors, but nothing compared to experiencing their creativity, intelligence, and cooperation firsthand. She realized that humans were not savage creatures as she had believed. They were complex, resilient, and capable of growth in ways she could not have imagined. In another room, students worked on community projects, designing ways to help their neighborhoods. They discussed energy conservation, waste reduction, and ways to make public spaces safer. Alera watched them carefully. Their ideas were practical, thoughtful, and intended to benefit everyone. She began to understand that humans were not only brave but also responsible. Do they always care about others? She asked Leo, still trying to reconcile her old beliefs with what she had witnessed. Leo shook his head. Not always. But many try. And when they see someone struggling, they act. That is what matters. Action is stronger than words. Alera considered this. On Viralaya, actions were often dictated by duty or protocol. Here, humans acted out of choice, empathy, and understanding. Their courage and intelligence were not imposed, they were born from connection, experience, and care. The day continued with more exploration. Alera visited a library where humans studied history, science, and literature. She saw students reading, asking questions, and sharing insights. Each human was learning, growing, and contributing to something larger than themselves. As the sun began to set, Alera and Leo stepped outside. The streets were calm, but the city still hummed with life. Humans walked home, greeted each other warmly, and carried small gestures of kindness along the way. Alera realized that she had witnessed only a small part of their world, yet it was enough to change her perspective. She turned to Leo. I am beginning to understand. Humans are not savage. They are complex, capable, and remarkable. Leo smiled. I am glad you see it. There is much more to learn, Princess. But every day, humans show courage, care, and intelligence. You are witnessing what makes us human. Alera felt a deep sense of purpose. She had come to observe, to judge, and to learn. She had expected to find savagery, yet she had discovered bravery, knowledge, creativity, and empathy. Humans were not perfect, but they were extraordinary. That night, as she returned to her ship, she looked at the glowing city below. Lights flickered in homes and streets, showing life, activity, and connection. Alera felt hope stirring inside her. Perhaps humans were worthy of trust. Perhaps they could be allies. Perhaps there was much that Viralia could learn from them. The morning air was crisp, and the city was alive with movement. Princess Alera walked alongside Leo, observing the people going about their daily lives. She had spent several days learning about humans, and every moment deepened her understanding. They were not perfect, but they were capable of bravery, creativity, and kindness. Today, however, would test her beliefs in a new and unexpected way. A sudden alarm blared across the city. Loud sirens and flashing lights caused people to stop and look around. Alera's heart quickened. Something serious was happening. She saw smoke rising from a distant sector, and from the streets came the sounds of shouting and panic. Leo grabbed her hand. Princess, come with me. We must help, he shouted, running toward the disturbance. Alera hesitated for only a moment before following. She had learned from the fire incident that humans could show remarkable courage, and she wanted to witness it again. As they approached, the source of the chaos became clear. A group of rogue aliens, previously unseen on Earth, had attacked the city. Their advanced weapons caused destruction, and their size and strength frightened the humans. Buildings shook, and glass shattered, sending shards across the streets. People screamed, and many tried to flee. Alera's first instinct was to protect herself, but Leo moved forward without fear. He directed civilians to safe areas, helping children, the elderly, and injured individuals find shelter. His courage inspired others. Humans began organizing themselves, forming lines to carry the wounded, guiding those trapped, and even assisting in protecting buildings from damage. Alera stepped forward, using her alien abilities subtly to shield a group of people from falling debris. She moved with precision, guided by Leo's instructions and the actions of the humans around her. She was no longer a distant observer, she was part of the human effort, and she marveled at their resilience. A boy carried water to a group of people trapped in a partially collapsed building. A woman helped lift a heavy piece of debris off a fallen child. Teenagers formed a human chain to move supplies to those in need. Each action was deliberate, focused, and courageous. Alera felt awe and respect building inside her. These humans were not only brave, they were organized, compassionate, and determined. Leo turned to her. Do you see, Princess? Humans are strong when we care for each other. Strength is not always physical. It is in courage, teamwork, and willingness to help. Alera nodded. She watched a man guiding a group of frightened pets away from danger. Another group worked together to pull a trapped woman from the rubble. No one hesitated. Even those who were afraid found ways to contribute. Humans were proving themselves capable of extraordinary action under pressure. Alera herself was drawn to a collapsed building where smoke and fire made entry dangerous. Inside, a young child cried for help. Alera took a deep breath and moved forward, carefully lifting debris and guiding the child to safety. Leo followed, helping other civilians escape. They worked in tandem, humans and alien princess together, facing fear and danger. Outside, a crowd had gathered to support those helping. Some offered blankets, others water, and still others directed people toward safety. The humans were united, their collective effort creating a force far stronger than the threat of the rogue aliens. Alera observed closely, noting how leadership, courage, and empathy were shared among ordinary people, not just the strongest or most powerful. A loud roar drew Alera's attention. One of the rogue aliens had attacked a nearby building, endangering more civilians. Humans immediately organized a response. A group formed a barrier, protecting those inside while others helped evacuate the building. Their actions were coordinated, effective, and brave. Alera felt a surge of admiration. These humans could be frightened, chaotic, or flawed, but in the face of danger, they became heroes. Their bravery was not about weapons or strength, it was about choice, responsibility, and care for others. They were proving that courage could exist in every heart, no matter how ordinary the person seemed. Leo ran to her side. "We must help those trapped on the upper floors," he said. Alera nodded, using her powers to clear the way. They climbed together, moving quickly but carefully. Humans were already there, guiding those who were scared, calming children, and providing support. Alera realized that courage was contagious. Leo's fearlessness and the humans' determination strengthened her own resolve. Reaching the trapped civilians, Alera helped lift debris and guided people to safety. She watched as humans encouraged each other, praising bravery, and offering comfort. The fear that had initially paralyzed many was replaced by action, cooperation, and hope. She realized that humans thrived when they faced challenges together. Their strength was in unity, trust, and empathy. As the threat subsided and the rogue aliens retreated, Alera took a moment to observe the aftermath. Humans had endured chaos, destruction, and fear, yet they stood together. They comforted one another, assisted the wounded, and began organizing rebuilding efforts. Their actions were deliberate, compassionate, and resilient. Leo smiled at her. "Do you see now? Humans are not savage. We are capable of courage, intelligence, and care beyond what you imagined. Even in fear, we rise together." Alera felt a deep sense of understanding. Her long-held beliefs were shattered. Humans were not merely destructive or reckless. They were strong, brave, and capable of extraordinary goodness. Their actions had demonstrated what no report, censor, or study could convey: humans had the power to inspire, protect, and unite in the face of danger. As night fell, the city lights flickered back to life. Humans worked together to rebuild, support one another, and ensure safety. Alera walked beside Leo, absorbing every detail. She realized that humans' greatest strength was not in their weapons, technology, or power, but in their hearts, their courage, and their willingness to face fear together. Before returning to her ship, Alera looked at Leo and the humans around her. "I understand now," she said quietly. "Humans are not savage. They are capable of greatness, bravery, and care. They are extraordinary in ways I never imagined." Leo nodded. "And there is still more to see. Humans will teach you many lessons, Princess. Each day reveals something new about our strength, kindness, and resilience." Alera smiled. She had come to Earth to observe, to judge, and to learn. She had expected to find savagery, but she had discovered courage, intelligence, empathy, and unity. Humans were not perfect, but they were remarkable, and she felt honored to witness their true nature. As she returned to her ship, she looked at the city, still glowing with life. Humans were rebuilding, helping each other, and moving forward together. Alera knew that she had found something rare: hope, trust, and the extraordinary spirit of a species she had once thought unworthy. The morning sun bathed the city in warm light. Princess Alera stepped outside her ship with a sense of anticipation. In the days she had spent on Earth, she had seen humans in action, brave, kind, and cooperative. Today, she wanted to understand something deeper, their culture, their friendships, and the joy that bound them together. Leo greeted her with a cheerful wave. "Good morning, Princess. Today I will show you another side of humans," he said. "Not just how we survive or act in danger, but how we live, laugh, and care for each other every day." Alera nodded, curiosity shining in her eyes. She had never experienced anything like this before. On Viralaya, life was structured and orderly, with little room for spontaneity or casual joy. Humans were unpredictable, yet there was a warmth in their daily lives that drew her in. Leo led her to a small square in the city where people gathered to share meals, play music, and enjoy each other's company. Children ran freely, laughing and chasing one another, while adults talked, played games, and helped each other. The air was filled with music and chatter, creating a lively, welcoming atmosphere. "This is remarkable," Alera whispered. "They seem happy, even though their lives are not easy." "Yes," Leo said. "Humans find joy in connection. We celebrate together, learn together, and support each other. Happiness is shared, not just personal." Alera watched as a group of musicians played simple instruments. People of all ages clapped and sang along. Some danced, others sat and smiled. There was no pressure, no expectation, only enjoyment and participation. She realized that humans had ways of creating community beyond survival or duty. Their culture was alive, vibrant, and inclusive. Leo guided her to a nearby table where young adults were teaching children how to paint. Each child added their own ideas to a large canvas, mixing colors and shapes freely. Laughter and encouragement filled the air as the mural grew more beautiful. Alera was amazed at the cooperation and creativity. Humans were not only brave and intelligent but also imaginative and expressive. "They support each other in every way," Alera said. "Even in small things, like painting or music, they work together." Leo nodded. "Exactly. Humans are social creatures. We care for each other, and we teach one another. That is why we can overcome challenges and grow stronger as a community." Alera moved to a group playing a simple game of ball. Children ran, dodged, and cheered, while adults offered tips and encouragement. Even though some missed the ball or stumbled, everyone celebrated effort and teamwork. Alera felt a warmth she had never experienced on Viralaya. Humans valued each other, and joy was shared freely. Later, Leo invited her to a community kitchen. Humans were preparing food for those in need, cooking, chopping, and serving with laughter and efficiency. Alera observed them, fascinated by the combination of care, teamwork, and organization. Even in a task as simple as cooking, humans found ways to connect and help each other. "They do not need force or rules to cooperate," Alera said softly. "They choose to help, and it makes them stronger together." Leo smiled. "Yes. Choice is important. Humans act because we care, not because we are told. That is the essence of our strength." Alera joined the cooking, carefully chopping vegetables and preparing dishes under Leo's guidance. She was amazed at how humans communicated, shared ideas, and worked in harmony. Even mistakes were met with patience and laughter, not blame. Every action was part of a larger effort to help and connect. After the meal was prepared, Alera helped serve it to a group of people who had come for food. They greeted her warmly, thanking her for the assistance. Though she remained in disguise, she felt welcomed and appreciated. For the first time, she realized that humans were capable of trust, kindness, and genuine connection. As the day continued, Leo introduced her to more of human culture. They visited a small theater where actors performed stories about courage, friendship, and love. The audience laughed, cried, and applauded together. Alera was fascinated by the power of storytelling to unite people, to teach values, and to inspire hope. You see, Leo said, humans learn and grow not only through action but also through stories, music, and art. These things shape who we are and how we care for each other. Alera watched the audience carefully. Each person was engaged, supportive, and connected to those around them. Humans had created a culture that reinforced courage, empathy, and community. It was unlike anything she had witnessed on Viralaya, where structure and rules governed behavior rather than connection and emotion. By evening, Alera felt a sense of belonging she had never known. She had seen humans at their worst and at their best. She had witnessed bravery, intelligence, creativity, and kindness. Now, she had experienced friendship, joy, and the bonds that made their lives meaningful. Sitting on a quiet bench with Leo, she reflected on all she had observed. "I am beginning to understand, Leo," she said. "Humans are not perfect, but they are remarkable. They face danger, help each other, create beauty, and find joy. They are alive in a way I did not expect." Leo smiled warmly. "Yes, Princess. Humans are unpredictable, but our strength is in how we choose to act. We learn from each other, support each other, and grow together. That is what makes us human." Alera nodded, feeling a deep sense of respect and connection. She realized that her journey on Earth had changed her. She had come to judge humans, expecting to find savagery and chaos. Instead, she had discovered courage, empathy, creativity, and friendship. She had found a species capable of great kindness and hope. As night fell, the city lights sparkled, reflecting the energy and life of its people. Humans walked home, greeted one another, and carried small acts of care into their daily lives. Alera felt a sense of peace and admiration. She had seen the truth: humans were capable of extraordinary goodness, and their choices and actions defined their strength. Before returning to her ship, Alera turned to Leo. "Thank you for showing me the side of humanity. I see now that they are capable of so much more than I ever imagined." Leo smiled. "There is always more to learn, Princess. But each day teaches us something new about courage, kindness, and connection. You are seeing what makes humans truly special." Alera looked at the people around her, laughing, helping, and living fully. She felt hope stirring within her heart. Humans were not just creatures to observe or judge, they were beings capable of growth, love, and friendship. She knew that her journey was far from over, but she was ready to continue learning, understanding, and connecting. The sun rose over the city, casting a golden glow across buildings, streets, and parks. Princess Alera stood at the edge of the park, watching humans go about their daily lives. Children ran and played, adults walked in conversation, and neighbors greeted each other warmly. The city felt alive, full of energy, connection, and purpose. Alera felt a sense of fulfillment she had never known. Her time on Earth had been longer than she expected, filled with lessons about humanity she could never have learned from reports or censors. She had seen humans at their worst, in moments of conflict and fear, but she had also seen them at their best, brave, kind, and capable of extraordinary acts. Today, she reflected on everything she had experienced. Leo approached her with a smile. "Good morning, Princess. Are you ready to share your thoughts with your advisors?" he asked gently. Alera took a deep breath. She had learned so much from him, from the people she had met, and from observing humans in their daily lives. "Yes, Leo," she said softly. "I have learned that humans are not what I expected. They are complex, unpredictable, and capable of greatness." Leo nodded. "Then you understand why I wanted you to see more. Humans are not perfect, but they are remarkable. Their courage, kindness, and willingness to help each other make them strong." Alera smiled. "I see that now. I have watched them face danger, care for each other, and build communities. I have seen them create art, share knowledge, and find joy. They are capable of love, friendship, and hope. I understand that humans are more than reports can show. They are alive, vibrant, and extraordinary. Leo's smile widened. That is the truth, Princess. You have learned well. Humans are worthy of trust, respect, and friendship. Alera felt a wave of gratitude. She had come to Earth expecting to confirm her belief that humans were savage. Instead, she had discovered their strength, intelligence, and compassion. She realized that her initial judgment had been limited by distance, reports, and assumptions. Humans were not defined by their mistakes, but by their choices, actions, and courage. As she walked through the city with Leo, Alera noticed small acts of kindness everywhere. A young woman helped an elderly man carry groceries. A boy returned a lost toy to a crying child. People smiled, laughed, and supported each other in ways that were simple yet meaningful. Alera realized that humanity's power was not only in extraordinary moments of bravery but also in everyday actions of care and connection. Her thoughts turned to her mission. She had come to observe and report on humans for her people on Viralaya. She had expected to describe a savage, unpredictable species. But now, she had a new story to tell, a story of courage, empathy, intelligence, and hope. She had discovered that humans were worthy of friendship and trust, and that Viralaya could learn from them. Leo noticed her thoughtful expression. Princess, will you share your conclusions with your people? He asked. Alera nodded. Yes, I will. I will explain that humans are complex. They make mistakes, but they also demonstrate extraordinary courage, kindness, and creativity. They are capable of building strong communities, protecting each other, and growing through experience. They are not savage. They are capable of greatness. She paused, looking at the people around her. I will also share that humans can teach us something important, that strength comes from empathy, cooperation, and the willingness to help one another. They show us that even small actions can make a difference and that choices define a species more than mistakes or flaws. Leo smiled proudly. You have truly understood the human spirit, Princess. You see what many cannot. You have witnessed both courage and joy, fear and resilience, mistakes and triumphs. You have learned the truth. Alera felt a sense of peace she had never known. Her journey on Earth had changed her forever. She had come as a judge, expecting to find flaws and weaknesses. Instead, she had discovered strength, hope, and a species worthy of admiration. Humans were not just creatures to study, they were teachers, friends, and examples of what life could be at its best. As the day ended, Alera prepared to return to her ship. She looked back at the city one last time, watching children play, families walk together, and friends laugh in the park. Each scene filled her with hope and respect. She realized that she would carry these lessons with her for the rest of her life. Leo approached her. Are you ready, Princess? He asked. Alera nodded. Yes, Leo. Thank you for showing me the truth about humans. I will share it with my people, and I will never forget what I have learned here. Before leaving, Alera knelt and gently touched the ground. She whispered softly, honoring the humans she had observed. I see you now. I see your courage, your kindness, and your heart. I understand you, and I respect you. With that, she boarded her ship. As it rose into the sky, she watched the city grow smaller below her. Her heart was full of hope, and her mind was filled with lessons she could never have learned from reports or studies alone. She had seen humanity in action and in joy, and it had changed her forever. When she reached orbit, she activated communication with her advisors on Viralaya. They waited expectantly, prepared for her report. Alera took a deep breath. I have observed humans in their natural environment, she began. I expected to find a savage, unpredictable species. Instead, I have discovered beings capable of courage, empathy, creativity, and resilience. They face danger with bravery, care for one another with kindness, and build communities through cooperation and shared knowledge. They are capable of love, friendship, and hope. Her advisors listened silently. Alera continued. Humans make mistakes, but their choices define them more than their flaws. They show us that strength comes not only from power but from empathy, cooperation, and the willingness to help others. They are not savage. They are extraordinary. There was a moment of silence before one advisor spoke. Princess, your observations are remarkable. You have seen what few have seen. Humans are indeed more than reports can show. Alera nodded. Yes. And I recommend that Viralia seeks friendship and understanding with humanity. They can teach us much, and together we can grow stronger. I have learned that even small actions, acts of care, and choices made in kindness can define a species more than conflict or error. Her advisors nodded in agreement. Alera felt a sense of accomplishment. She had completed her mission, but more importantly, she had grown herself. She had come to judge humans, but she left with respect, admiration, and hope. As the ship prepared to return to her home planet, Alera looked out at Earth, a small blue gem in the vast darkness of space. She thought of Leo, the people she had met, and the lessons she had learned. Humans had proven themselves worthy of trust and friendship. They had shown her that courage, kindness, and hope could exist in even the most unlikely places.